Let's bring in energy expert Alex Epstein to assess. He's the founder and CEO of Center for Industrial Progress. Let's talk to you, Alex. What say you? I mean, let's start with this. We use about 30% of the grid. We power it up with coal, another 15 or 20% with natural gas. Almost all of it is fossil fuel powering the grid. So what don't they get?
Well, there's many things they don't get. So even before you get to the grid, the vast majority of fossil fuel use is not even powering the grid anywhere. So electricity is about 1/5 of the world's energy use. Almost all of the rest is using fossil fuels directly for residential heat, industrial heat, and especially transportation. And for most of those, we don't have any cost-effective ways of replacing fossil fuels anytime soon, certainly not for cargo ships and airplanes. So even leaving aside electricity, it's a huge challenge that nobody talks about. Now, within electricity, it's actually natural gas is the biggest source. But yeah, we have a mostly fossil fueled grid. And if you look at solar and wind, which are a small percentage, they're not just a small percentage, they're almost 100% dependent on the reliability of fossil fuels. And when you try to get rid of the fossil fuels, like we have done in California and like Texas has tried to do, then you're playing reliability chicken. You hope the sun shines enough, the wind blows enough, it doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. And that is a losing game. I live in California, we have to deal with this. And so the idea of we're going to mandate electric cars on a grid that's already struggling because we've prioritized unreliable energy over reliable energy, this is just a guaranteed epic crisis. It's actually an existential threat to destroy the grid of a first world country.
And you point something out, like, who's going to be the first person to get on a jet airplane that's not using jet fuel, which is a highly refined fuel from crude oil, instead using a battery-powered airplane, or ships. Our ships use a heavy oil. Our trucks use diesel. These are all fossil fuels. They're out of the 2035. We're talking 12 years from now, 11, 12 years from now. There's no way that we can get there.
I mean, I think it's very important. I talk about this in my book, Fossil Future. The movement against fossil fuels is not a movement that loves energy and is coming up with better forms of energy. It's a movement that really hates human impact on Earth. That's why it's so obsessed with we're impacting the climate, as if that's the worst thing that could ever happen. And they don't seem to care about anything else besides that. So they're really hostile to fossil fuels, but also nuclear and also hydro and also mining, which needs to increase by an unprecedented amount to make any kind of solar and wind happen, even if they were reliable, which they're not. So it's really an anti-human impact movement. And when they talk about these plans, they're just self-evidently stupid, but they don't really care about energy. So they're focused on getting rid of the fossil fuels, and they just have this random hand-waving stuff that doesn't make any sense as their so-called plan.
Listen to AOC claim we need to end all federal coal leasing and probably all coal power producing. Listen.
It's clearly time to end all new federal coal leasing on public lands and invest in domestic renewable energy production.
Yeah, clearly, and they use that term. Clearly? Not so clear to me. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to me that we should not be shutting down coal plants right now. So I've done studies. People can see this at energytalkingpoints.com. We're in an electricity emergency. We're already having trouble keeping the lights on. And the EPA's plans and the Biden's plans more broadly, they plan to shut down up to 20% of our reliable capacity by 2030. So coal right now is protecting us from the abyss, and they're trying to almost shut it all down. So AOC, she is just on a rampage to destroy this country, whether she realizes it or not. And if you destroy the grid, you make us a third world country.
Yeah, and AOC, it's been her push. The numbers are insane, trillions upon trillions of dollars that they can hand out to their friends in the green energy sphere. It reminds me also when AOC is pushing more gun control, but has 3 or 4 people following her around with guns. Mayor Pete says, no, everything that's going wrong with the world is about climate change. Listen.
Well, there's no escaping the fact that when you have more severe weather events, both them happening more often and them getting more severe, that's going to affect every form of transportation. So there's a reality in front of us that, we're doing everything we can in the long run fight against climate change to stop this from getting any worse than it has already gotten.
Alex, we've had almost a decade of cooling temperatures. Yeah, we have a hot spell right now, but we had almost a decade of cooling temperatures. I mean, and for some reason, they don't take that into account.
Well, in general, we have a warming trend, and I do believe that our emissions contribute to that. But we've had 1 degree of warming in a century. And here's the key. We're far safer than ever from climate, including extreme weather. So we tally deaths from extreme weather, what I call climate-related disaster deaths, and those are down by a factor of 50, so 98% over the last 100 years. So we're actually safer than ever, and it's because of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels power all the machines, like irrigation machines and heating machines and cooling machines, that make us safer than ever from climate. So what's ever happened with climate, our ability to deal with climate has improved far more than climate has diminished, if it's diminished at all. And so it's just a total moral panic. You know, Mayor Pete might as well say witches instead of climate change for how scientific this is.
Yeah, very quickly, Alex, about 30 seconds or so. If they don't like heavy, dirtier things like coal, natural gas is a very clean burning energy. And as you point out, it's nuclear. We could replace all of it with very clean energies.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, and I highly recommend, I want to just plug the book Fossil Future, because it really gets to the moral root of this. It's really a movement that hates human impact. And if you hate human impact, you have to hate energy, because energy is what allows us to have a big impact on Earth. So they always find a reason to oppose every form of energy. They're only in favor of imaginary energy, which just means pretending to be pro-energy, so people will listen to their anti-energy proposals.
All right, I'll leave it right there. Alex Epstein, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.